Very
All
cool.
right, well, I'll go ahead and get started. Just want to welcome everyone to this event. This is the No Server Data Visualization Build a Bubble Cloud project meetup. We do have Grimwald here with us presenting tonight. I am Christine Chin. I'm a project manager of Be My App. I will be assisting with the meetup tonight, and I just want to start off by giving a quick intro of who we have here today. We have the Kintone team, and together they have a combined 20 years plus experience of coding. We have Will and Genji here from Tokyo, where they run the Kintone developer program. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to post them in the chat section, and they will be responding and assisting tonight. We also have from the Bay Area, I mentioned Nim. He's coming from Berkeley. He is a Kintone evangelist promoting teamwork and low-code solutions. And we also have Zach here from Boise, Idaho. He's also here with Be My App assisting as well. We are all here today to give back and help out the next generation of coders. Nim will be the speaker for tonight's workshop, and Will and Genji and I will be answering your questions posted in the Zoom chat. So go ahead, Nim, take it away.
Oh, thank you very much, Christine. Hello, everybody. Good evening. If you're coming from somewhere else on the globe, good morning and good afternoon, and thanks for being with us here tonight. In order for us to have the most fun tonight, please turn on your videos, get ready to have conversations, just dive in with the chat. We're gonna keep this informal, and we're gonna keep it moving. And the more you're willing to dive in, the more you'll learn, and the more we're gonna have fun. I've got a few items for us to go through before we get into business, and that's the logistics stuff. If you have not already downloaded the code, if you've not already downloaded the slides, please go ahead and do that right now. That's the prompt that you see in front of you on this deck. And then please also sign up for two things. One is a Kintone developer program account, and the other is a Kintone developer license, which is a free 1-year license for Kintone. And then again, as far as we're doing asking questions and raising hands, you're just go ahead, drop the questions in the chat, in the Zoom chat at any time. There will be points where you might run into some issues when you're requesting help on the technical issues. Make sure that you include the input and the output. So that's going to be your code, as well as any error messages that you run into. Okay. The recording will be shared, and some other things to notice. The gist file, which has got all of the content, you might not know where to go to find the things that you're looking for. This slide will show you where to find everything. And just at the top right-hand side, you'll see the button to download the zip file. This will give you all of the content for tonight's workshop. So after the workshop, if you want to review it, or even during, if as you're going through it, please feel free to read up. And then also we've got the slide deck, which is if you only want to download the slide deck, that's going to be at the bottom, above the fold on the bottom left-hand side of the page. You'll see only the slides.pdf. If you have not yet signed up for a Kintone developer account, please do that at this time. bit.ly/KDP_signup. This is case sensitive. And we've got a message in from Saad saying, okay, sign up page seems to be broken. No problem, Saad. We're going to have Genji take a look at that. And in the meantime, go ahead and sign up for a developer license. Again, this link is case sensitive. You'll fill out some information. You'll create your Kintone developer license subdomain. Your subdomain is like, it will be, insert text here.kintone.com. So maybe you want to put your name, or something really clever, whatever works for you. Okay, and one other thing, there's a whole bunch of us on the line tonight, and in order for me to pace the most effectively, what helps is to know who will be actively participating. So if you intend to be actively participating, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to be raising your hand on the regular. depending, and there'll be times where I will ask you to raise your hand to indicate our pacing and our progress. So at this time, would everybody who is interested in actively participating tonight, please go ahead and raise your hand. What you'll do is in the Zoom shared screen, there's a participants button. Click on participants, and then you'll go ahead and you'll click raise hand. Go ahead and raise your hand now at this time. Thanks, Leonid, Srirang, Scott, wonderful, Hosa. Thank you very much. Again, anybody else? Mac, great. Thanks for indicating. Anybody else, if you want to actively participate today, there's really not going to be much, you're not going to be on a hot seat or anything, but the more people who raise their hand, the more fun we'll have. All right, so we've got 5. Great. Okay, thank you. And anybody else want to raise their hand just to practice raising your hand? Go ahead and do that right now. You'll go to the, on Zoom, you'll go to participants, and then you'll go to the participants window will open. On the bottom of that window, on the right-hand side, there's raise hand. Okay, terrific. Ken, thanks very much. And we've got a message over here. If you're running into any errors with the getting a license for getting a developer license or signing up for a KDP account, go ahead and make sure your cookies are enabled, and you can make that change at the bottom of the page. Saad, thank you. Will and Genji are going to be taking care of you for that. All right, let's jump into the fun part. Building a bubble cloud project. This is a way of practicing building a no-server data visualization project. With me tonight from Kintone are Will and Genji, who run the Kintone developer program all the way from Tokyo, Japan. So thanks, guys, for being on the line. I'm based out of Berkeley, California, in the San Francisco Bay Area. I am Kintone's technical evangelist. And you guys are coming from wherever you're coming from. We've also have the Be My Apps team coming from Oregon and Idaho joining us from there. Thanks for being with us, everybody. So today, we've got 2 core items on our agenda. First, building a visualization project together using Kintone, and then having everybody walk away with a project that they can work on. This workshop is going to be for if you are a front-end developer and you want to spend less time setting up your back-end infrastructure. This lesson is for you. We're going to break it down like this. First, we're going to talk about Kintone. We'll be creating a Kintone app. Then we will be displaying AMP charts on Kintone. Then we will be calling the REST API from Kintone. So, what is Kintone? Kintone is a no-code, low-code cloud platform for teams to easily share and collaborate on their data efficiently. What do I mean by that? Well, what is a low-code or a no-code platform? Let me just go ahead and ask you guys. Go ahead in the chat, please, everyone. Take your best shot. A no-code platform is. A low-code platform is. I'll give you guys a minute or so. Just kind of share with us. How would you explain what is the difference between a no-code platform and a low-code platform? You can go ahead and type it in the chat. You can also unmute yourself so your line is hot, and then just go ahead and shout it out. Folks, what is a no-code platform? What is a low-code platform? Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm Srirang.
Hey, Srirang.
Nice to meet you all.
Breaking the ice right over here. Well done.
So would a no-code / low-code be utilizing a service that already exists as opposed to coding your own sort of backend?
Yeah, that's a really great way of putting it. You're definitely taking advantage of somebody else's work to make your coding life easier. And when you're talking about a service that already exists, there are multiple levels of sophistication for that, right? So bare bones, you could imagine a service as more than a package, right? There's some kind of a GUI. Scott, very well done. A no code would most likely be a GUI low code, maybe some command prompt inputs. Yeah, there's some kind of a mix of this, right? There's some way that you, as a software engineer, you want to solve important problems, and then there's just the stuff that you want to get through quickly. So what you want to think about is, what kind of tools can I use to focus on solving the problems that are worth my time, and what can I have done quickly that's also like necessary in order for a project to work, but that isn't worth the time. And so the way we think about no-code and low-code platforms, let's talk about low-code first. A low-code platform aimed for developers. It's going to allow you to produce your apps quickly. You can focus on the tougher problems. And it requires some degree of coding proficiency, but you've got enough scope with the tool that you can use it to cover a lot of cases. That's in contrast to a no-code platform, which is typically aimed at business users. So because it's aimed at business users, it's got to be simpler and more accessible. There's got to be no command line experience. But because there is less, there's a lot more on Rails, it's also less flexible. So when Kintone describes itself as a no-code or a low-code platform, you're kind of wondering, okay, well, who are you targeting exactly? What kind of tools are you making available to whom? And it's actually to both groups. It's both the business users who can create what we call apps without needing to know any coding, and for developers or engineers as well, who can take these kind of core apps and upgrade them with various kinds of coding elements, coding enhancements, what we call customizations, which are done exclusively with JavaScript. So we're just talking about apps. What is an app? An app in Kintone, it's got nothing to do with like an iOS app or a mobile app. An app is what you can imagine as like a table in a database or a spreadsheet. It's a powerful online repository where you store data in records. And because we're talking about no code and low code, if you were to imagine building out a database, typically if you're an engineer, maybe you want to interact with some kind of a command line tool where you're creating tables, adding columns, dropping tables. With apps, you do all of it in a drag and drop interface. What that allows for is extremely rapid prototyping, especially if you're an engineer. You can just whiz through this, build the data structure that you need to hold your data, and then do the interesting stuff. So how does this relate to building projects with no servers? Well, with Kintone essentially becomes your server running your database. You can build a lot of the databases with GUI. You can concentrate on the front end work, on the various other customizations that you'd want to enhance your Kintone experience. Perhaps even linking up with various other web applications and piping information into and out of Kintone, to build out either a prototype solution or even a full solution. So that's the high-level understanding of Kintone. Let's talk about what it takes to build a Kintone app. Now, again, we're talking about an app. You can imagine a table in a database. You can imagine a spreadsheet in an Excel workbook. And, of course, we can link them together to make a sort of database or a series of apps that are related, that are connected to each other in various ways. Like, imagine a CRM. A CRM, you've got your contact list, and then you've got another table which tracks the activities for the contacts. If you have a third table that tracks, the business that's coming from each of those activities and from each of those contacts. So those three apps, those three tables, are related to each other in ways you might expect them to be related to if this were a database. So all sorts of databases that we can make, board games, a lunch database, expense reporting. What we're going to do now is we're going to go over the steps to build an app, and then we'll build it as an exercise. If you're feeling like really like you want to get ahead of the curve, or especially if you've got two monitors, it would be really great if you've got my presentation on one side, and then you've got your your experience of it on the other side as you're building out as I'm going along. But whether or not you're doing that, you will have time to build out after I give you the walkthrough. So again, if you do not yet have a developer license, please sign up for one. If you haven't yet checked your email after you submitted, please check your email. And then let's log on to Kintone. What you'll do is you'll go into your subdomain. So remember, your subdomain was like some clever phrase, or maybe you put your name, .kintone.com, and you'll be presented with a login screen. You'll go ahead and you'll log in, and then you'll see this page. It'll say administration or Kintone. You'll click on Kintone, and then you'll immediately be taken to what we call our portal screen. What you'll do is you will go to the right-hand side where you find the apps. There's this like little apps section on the right-hand side. There's this plus sign. That plus sign will take you to the place where you can add a new Kintone app. You're going to create one from scratch, and this will bring you to the drag and drop interface. From there, you'll title your new app. We're going to call it Board Game DB. And then we will start to drag and drop these fields in. Okay, so we'll drag this text field from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. We're going to go into what we call the field settings. When you hover your mouse over this text field in the canvas, we'll get to the settings page. There's going to be this field settings page that's going to pop up. And what you're going to do is you're going to replace the words text with name. And then once you do that, we're gonna do the same thing now with a drop-down field instead of a text field. So you'll drag and drop the drop-down field from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. You'll open up those field settings by hovering over the drop-down field, clicking on the gear wheel, and then replacing drop-down with type, and then these options with abstract and area control. What we're doing, again, we're building this board game app. So now we're looking for a drop-down of the type of board games that are going to be in this app. Okay, we're going to add a new drop-down option by clicking on the plus sign, and we'll add drafting, and then we'll click save, and then we'll click activate the app. Once you do that, we've created our first app. Congratulations. And it'll take you to what we call the record view. The record view will show us a list. You can imagine like a table. We're seeing a list of relevant columns, very much like what we would expect an app to look like. And you'll go back to your portal. Actually, you may actually be on this page. And this is where you will click on that Board Game DB, and you will see this, this record view. Okay, so quick overview of an app. What should you expect to see once you populate it with some data? You'll see the data front and center. On the right-hand side at the top, you'll see a plus sign where you can add new records. You'll see this gear wheel. The gear wheel with the white background will take us to the app settings. And then we can access the details of that particular record by clicking on the left-hand side of the page. There's this blue thumbnail icon. Okay. Now, what we've got over here is in the inside of the field settings. We also have a place where you will be changing what we call the field code. Okay, so each field that you use in Kintone has like a name that we will refer to it that we will use to refer to it in the code. This is like its unique ID from a programming perspective. We're going to change these field codes on text and on dropdown. Actually, we're not going to change them. We just want you to know that they're there for now. Okay, so that's a quick overview, kind of step by step, what screens you should see. So at this point in time, go ahead and follow the instructions you see on this page. Where it will take you should look very familiar to you at this point. seeing as you've already you've seen it for the first time once. So go ahead, you'll follow these steps. Go to the Kintone portal page, create a new app from scratch. You're going to drag and drop two fields. There's going to be a text field. You're going to rename it to name, and a drop-down field. You'll rename it to type. You'll add three options in the drop-down field. You'll hit that blue Activate App, and then please raise your hand in Zoom when you're done. Folks, if you haven't already started, now's the time. And of course, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat, or you can even go mic hot and just start talking. We're going to give you 5 minutes for this. And again, when you're done, please raise your hand. That way I know how to, that way I'm well equipped to monitor our progress.
And if you're stuck somewhere, please just place in the chat, I'm stuck at step 1 or step 4.
Very good. And Srirang is asking, the three options, step 6, are going to be abstract, area control, and drafting. Where you're going to find them is in the drop-down field settings. So what you'll do is you'll drag and drop the drop-down from the left-hand side to the right-hand side of the canvas. Then you'll hover over it, you'll click on the gear wheel, and you'll be brought to the drop-down settings. And at that point, you will add the options over here. You'll replace sample 1 and sample 2 with abstract and area control. And then you'll add a third option, drafting. That's where you'll get that. Srirang, does that answer your question? Awesome. Okay, great. Ken, thank you very much for raising your hand. Billy, thanks for raising your hand. Again, if you complete the work, please raise your hand.
I just wrote that as text, just in case.
Okay, great. Well, thanks a lot for that, folks. If you run into that issue later, you've got that reference in the chat. Okay, great, Srirang. Thank you. Raise your hand. Got it.
Anybody stuck on step 1, 2, 3? No, I think we're okay. Yeah.
Wonderful. Anybody else still working through the exercise, please just drop a note in the chat like, hey, still need another minute or two. Or again, you can go mic hot and just say it out loud.
I mean, just placing in the chat on what step you're on would help us a lot, actually.
Perfect. Let's do it that way. Great call. All right, I'm not hearing from anybody. So for those of you who are joining us, like great work. Thanks for raising your hand. We're gonna keep going, and let's start going to the interesting parts. So displaying the AM charts on Kintone. Okay, so first, what is AM charts? AM charts are like D3 or like some other JavaScript library for data visualization. And they've got a lot of different options that they can use that give us a lot of flexibility for the kind of data, the kind of ways that we want to visualize our data. We've got word clouds. We've got gosh, I don't even know what to call this one over here, like a track field as a graph. We've got maps. So a lot of options over here, very, very powerful. And what we're going to do is we're going to, so the way that AmCharts works is it's got two portions to it. First is when you First, you want to create a div in your HTML file. Basically, this is like a container for whatever kind of graphs that you want to put in. And then the JavaScript needs to be able to first find and read the libraries in your package, and then define the chart and hook it into that div, and then also be able to take some kind of data and represent it in the chart. So that's typically how AmCharts is used when you're building something using like front-end JavaScript. Now, how do we use it on Kintone? Well, it becomes a lot simpler. First, we're going to use the Kintone platform's HTML. We will be hooking into basically some div hooks that are made available to us through Kintone's open API. We're going to, instead of calling the libraries using a script tag, we will be using Kintone's GUI to set these links. We'll need to define the chart details, but then the data is already going to be available because it's going to already be inside the Kintone apps. What we're going to do is we're going to create a bubble cloud, and we will do that by getting data from a CSV file, and then adding the JavaScript libraries. We'll be referencing the links inside of our app, and then we'll do some really neat data visualization. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, first, we're going to create a new Kintone app from the CSV file. Then we will add the libraries to the app. We will add a custom JavaScript file to the app, and then we will redeploy the app. Hirang's asking, so when utilizing Kintone, we don't need to use an IDE. That's correct. You'll need like a code editor if you. Let me walk that back a little bit. You'll need a code editor or an IDE when you're building things out with the code, but then you'll be uploading it to Kintone, and Kintone will, by and large, present. It'll give you like a GUI to present your data with. You don't need to use the code editor for that, but really for any kind of JavaScript enhancements, that's really where your IDE or your code editor will come in. All right. So let's create a new Kintone app from a CSV file. Okay, we've got a CSV file for you already made. It's the Marvel CSV file. Go ahead and download it by clicking on this link or by manually typing it into your browser. If you're already on the gist, you'll just go to the gist file and you'll click on only the Marvel CSV file. From there, we're going to go back into the portal and we're going to create a new app. This one, instead of being created from scratch, so this is different from what you've just done. We're creating our second app. We're going to actually spin it up from a CSV. So from CSV. And when you do that, you'll be taken through a process that will basically allow you to upload the CSV and check to make sure that it is properly formatted before the upload is attempted. We've already done that formatting for you. You don't even need to worry about it. You'll just check all of it, and then you'll move to the part where you can upload that CSV file as the this little animation is showing. And once you do, you'll see all of your sample data available. At this point, you know, you'll even see like a place where you can map the data. We don't even need to do any of that. We're just going to convert and click OK. And when we do, we will see that app on the portal screen. Okay, so we see the app on the portal screen, and now we want to hook the JavaScript libraries into that app. The way that we do that is we click on that app. We're going to click on those app settings. This is the gear wheel with the white background that you've already clicked on. And now we're going to be presented with the page where we did the dragging and dropping of the form builder. You see that these fields have already been created. What Kintone has done is it's taken your CSV, it's mapped the CSV columns into fields, and that work's already been done. What we want to do now is go into another part of the back end, the app settings. And when we do, we'll be taken to a page that's got 3 columns on it. We're going to look for, in the middle column, the second one down, the JavaScript and CSS customization option. And it's over here where we will be able to reference the AmCharts JavaScript files. What we're going to do is we're going to click Add Link, and then we're going to add the following links. We will add the core file, the charts file, and the force-directed .js file. And we're going to do it in that order. So you'll click on Add Link, and when you do, you'll be presented with a place where you can copy and paste a link. You'll do that, you'll click that tiny little save, that inline save button. And then just hang out there for a moment, because after we pull in those libraries, what we want to do is add our own file. So to add our own file, we're going to add the download the zip file. We're going to add this this JavaScript file. And instead of linking, this time we're going to add file. And we will add the file called 3_visualization.js. We'll click on that inline save button. And then we'll click on the blue save button on the top left. And then there's going to be an update app button at the top right, which will be very big. We'll click that, which is how we redeploy the app. So what we've done is we deployed an app by creating it from a CSV, and then we're making changes. And the way that we make those changes is we update the app by clicking on that blue button. And it'll add the libraries in the JS file. Once we do that, we will now see what's called a force-directed, what AmCharts calls a force-directed graph, what we would typically call like a bubble cloud graph. Now, what you see over here is that the number of circles are going to be equal to the number of records in the app. And the size of the circles is going to be related to the number of the worldwide box office gross field. So the bigger the number, the larger the circles are represented, and the labels on the circles are taken from the film field. Now, just a heads up, this force-directed graph, we can do some more cool stuff with it. We can see like node connections between the different data points. We did not do that for this workshop to make things simpler, but I do want you to know there's a lot of power under the hood over here. Okay, go ahead and get started. And what you'll do, again, is you'll download the CSV. You're going to create this app from a CSV. It's a CSV of all of these Marvel films. Now, once you do that, you'll go into the app settings. You'll add these links to the library from the AmCharts CDN. Then you're going to add that custom JS file, and then you're going to redeploy the app. Click on Update App when you're done, and raise your hand. Once you raise your hand, I will know that you're ready to move on to the next step. I'll give you guys 5 minutes for this step, and if you have any questions, you can go mic hot, or you can go ahead and type in the chat, whatever you're more comfortable with. You can go ahead and get started at this time if you have not already.
I don't think we noted the data source anywhere, but it's from Wikipedia.
Oh, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, if you want to be
Yeah.
rigorous about where the data came from, there's your answer.
We should have actually written that, but yeah. So if you're working with data, make sure you know where it's from.
What page of the slides were those links on?
What? I'm sorry. What was the question?
Which page of the slides were all those links on?
The mchart links?
You're referring to?
Mm-hmm.
Which links are you referring to? Like in the gist?
The mchart links.
The mchart links. Yeah, the ones we're supposed to put into the
Absolutely. Let me go.
JavaScript.
And,
I just posted it in the chat.
Oh,
But
perfect. That's even easier. Thank you.
great. In the chat, and then you also have them over here in the libraries.
just want to let everyone know, all the content, CSV file, JavaScript, and also the CDN link is also on the GitHub Gist that you could just simply copy and paste.
Thank you, Andy.
Oh, but Genji, which GitHub Gist? Because which GitHub Gist?
The
mean,
the KDP _bubble.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I could type that up as well.
Everyone okay with downloading the CSV file? So no problem with that.
All right, we got our first hand coming up from Scott. Well done, Scott. Number one. All right.
Yeah, Scott's pretty quick.
Okay, Billy. Number two. Well done. The competition that we suddenly made up that makes no difference to anything. Ken. Well done. Great work. Folks, if you're working on it yourself, please just type in the chat or turn on your mic and just say, hey, I'm still working on it. That way I know where everybody is. All right, not hearing from anybody else, so I'm going to assume we're all together. Let's look through the code. So we uploaded a bunch of libraries. We linked to 3 and referenced 1. And what they do is the first one is the core library that's needed for AM charts. The second one is the library that's related to creating charts. Then there's the force directed chart, which is the bubble cloud, is what we call it. And for that specific one, we also need to reference it. And then we've got our own visualization.js file that we were using. So what we're going to do now is open up your visualization.js file. You should see this at the top. I'm going to get into the code at this point, but before I do, I really want to make sure that everyone is following along. So would you please raise your hand that you've got your code editor, you've opened up visualization.js, you see this this screen. Please go ahead and raise your hand. Okay, great, Sri Rang, Scott. I believe we're waiting for Billy and Ken, if you guys are still active participants. Great, perfect. All four of you are with us. Man, this is like a workshop for four. You're getting a lot of very four on. There's four. There's getting like almost one-on-one over here. Okay, let's talk about what you're seeing. This is a bunch of code, and some of it is related to using Kintone, and some of it is related to using amcharts. So what's related to using Kintone? You'll see we've got this kintone.events.on. What this is saying is we've got some kind of event hooks. And we've got this function that's set up that based on a specific event hook, do a bunch of stuff. This event hook is set up to trigger when that record list view page opens up, the one that looks like a table. We also have a place where we are calling a method called getHeaderSpaceElement. And what that does is this acts as the way of getting the div in Kintone that we can begin to hook we can begin to build a chart and then hook behavior into it. Below that, you'll see that chart. This is behavior that's hooked into the amcharts library. This is where we are creating a chart instance, and you'll see there's this function that we're pushing parameters into. The first one is going to be the target HTML. That's the one that we just, the target div that we're going to be creating the chart in. That's the div that we just created called space div when we use that Kintone method. And then the second one is the specific type of chart that we're using. And this one, it's a force-directed tree. And this is where we will find it and get it. What we then do is we're creating what's called a series. A series, honestly, it's just a chart. Maybe you can imagine it as a data series. In other words, like a bucket where data is held. If we've got multiple series, we're going to get multiple charts on top of each other in the same container. We don't want that. We just want one series. We want to know, okay, what kind of series are going to be, and then what are the properties that are going to be associated with the series. And then we've got this console log over here that's going to console log the event statement, or the event object. The event object is created by Kintone when we arrive at a particular event hook. It's kind of like it's the state of the world inside Kintone that's exposed for you, the developer, while you are in this specific event and before the event. While the hook is active and before it resolves. So if you console log the event, you'll see it's got a lot of different properties to it. And you'll see inside of the event, we also have the record data. So in addition to various other properties and methods inside of the event object, we also have access to whatever data is in Kintone right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to use it to we're going to use it by accessing the data that's in that event object to generate our chart. So what you'll see is inside of the event object there is a property called records, which holds an array, and that array actually contains all of our records and all of the fields that are inside the records. So it's an array of objects. If we continue down with the code, we'll see there's this is where we basically we're instantiating our data as a variable inside of this JavaScript file. We're going to go through this event.records array of objects, and we're going to use the map function to transform them into the format that we want, which is the name and the value, and then return an array of objects that has that format. Now, you might wonder, why does the name look this way? Why does the number look this way? And this has got to do with the aside that I gave in the earlier portion of our evening. talking about this field code called text. When we created, we were using a different example actually. We were using the board game database, but here inside of the Marvel film app, if you go to the field settings for the film name, you'll see that the name is film, and each of these fields has a field code. It's automatically generated by the system. Ours is called text, and we are referring to record dot the name of this specific field. And actually, the field has multiple properties associated with it in addition to the value. We want to know perhaps what the type of field is, or we want to know maybe there's some other information that's associated with it. But that's why we've got this other property on the object. And then we're going to do something very similar for the gross for the box office gross totals. You're going to go to the part of the record that holds that information, which is indicated by the number field code. When you're using Kintone and you're developing for Kintone, we recommend you change these. So text might be film name, number might be gross total, and that's going to make your code more readable. But since we were just doing straight CSV conversion and then dropping some code in, this was done automatically. And then now that we've created this data, we want to give it we want to put it where Amcharts is expecting it will be so that it can read the data. So, any questions? You can just go ahead. There are 4.5 of you that are tuned in. Why don't you guys just go mic hot and ask any questions if you don't have any questions, go mic hot and say, I've got no questions. Let's keep going.
Got no questions.
Got no questions. Keep going.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to call REST APIs from Kintone. So let's think about this as a front-end developer, right? So here we are. We've got some really neat data visualization that we can bake in a front-end environment that was pre-made for us, and it allowed us to focus on only building the interesting stuff. Well, wouldn't it be great if we could pipe data from other APIs and put them into Kintone? And the answer is like, yes, that would be great. And in fact, that's something that you can do. But here's the catch, okay? When you are piping data into your own build, right? You've got a server that's sitting on some, I don't know, DigitalOcean box or like whatever, or Heroku or whatever. And you are setting up a call from that server to some other server somewhere else. And there is an interaction of this REST API interaction between those two servers. The problem is when you are using Kintone, you are making the code that you uploaded is actually executed on the browser. So it is client-side code, not server-side code. Okay? What do you think the implications are of running code on the client side? And I'll give you a hint. It's right in front of you. But I want to see if you guys can really connect the dots strongly in this one. You can go ahead, unmic yourself or unmute yourself and just answer the question. Or if you don't know, you can say, "Hey, I don't know. Tell us, Nim."
I already forgot the question. We could just progress, I think.
Well, how familiar are you guys with cross-origin resource sharing? Cores. All right, cool. Let me break this down. So if you're a server, so there you are, coding your stuff, and you push the code onto your DigitalOcean box. Somebody clicks on some button, that API call gets made. It happens from a server to a server environment. And that works exactly as you expect. But if you're executing a call from the browser, you're going to run into an issue. So say, for example, I'm on Kintone.com, okay, and I want to make a call to some Google API, okay. I am on Kintone.com making a call to the server on Google.com, and Google.com isn't going to allow that, basically. I'm going to run into an error because Google.com, the server, is expecting to receive API requests. No, let me explain that a different way. That's not it. If you are on Kintone.com, the way the internet typically works is that you can only make API requests to Kintone.com, not some other place. If you want to get information from some other website, you need the server of the website you're on to do it on your behalf. Otherwise you run into these cross-origin resource sharing errors. In other words, there I am on one origin, I'm going across to another place, I'm asking to share a resource, and it's denied. So let's use the XKCD API. It turns out XKCD has an API to retrieve comic images. To do that, I go on Google.com and I ask Google, please fetch information from XKCD. And I will not be allowed to do that because I cannot make a call to another server from the client if I'm on a different web page than the one that the server is related to. In order to make server-to-server API calls using Kintone, even though I'm running client-side code, I need to have a server make the call on my behalf. For that, we use a proxy server, which is the server that makes a call on my behalf. So I basically say the Kintone server, I say, hey, please ask that guy over there for information. And so the Kintone.com server, I will instruct the Kintone.com server to make a call to some other server over there. And then that other server over there will interact with the Kintone.com server and provide it with information. And then the Kintone.com server will come back to me, the client, on my browser and say, hey, I got the answer that you were looking for. Or, I didn't get the answer, I got this error, but here's the response, okay? Let me just make sure that we're all following the concept. Sounds good, folks? I'll take head nods from the two of you guys that are on video. If you want to unmic yourself, that works too. Does this make sense, Scott? Does this make sense, Sriram? Anything that comes up from Sriram? How about you, Scott? No, doesn't make sense.
Well, no, it does make sense. I have no questions.
Perfect.
I'm on board. Yes.
Wonderful. That's what I want to hear. So how Kintone does that is with our REST API initiator. It's a method where you basically give Kintone, the Kintone proxy, all of the information you need to make an API request, or make an API call on your behalf, and then it goes and it does that. So in order to do that, it'll need the API endpoint, it'll need the method, is this a push, is this a get request, is this a post request, it'll need any headers. So for example, if you need any kind of authorization, it'll bring in the data as well, and then it'll return a promise, or if you've got callbacks, it'll bring in callbacks. So what we do over here to actually successfully make the REST API call is inside of Kintone, we will say, okay, on this particular event, Kintone proxy, do your thing, and then resolve. And it will in fact resolve, and it'll look like the way that it looks like in the animation on the right-hand side. So this is exactly how you'd expect the fetch method to work, only you're doing it with Kintone.proxy, doing it on your behalf. Kintone.proxy will return a promise object, and it's compatible with everything, including Internet Explorer. Now, this will allow you to make the REST API calls from this client-side executed code from your browser without being blocked by these cross-origin resource sharing. So that gives you a really full picture of how you would build a data visualization project on Kintone. You'd spin up an app, you would you would hook in the charts libraries, and then you would pipe data from somewhere into Kintone as records that then you can feed off it. Your charts can feed off it. Any questions so far, guys? Okay, nothing from, okay, perfect, thank you. Yeah, liking the head nods. Okay, so what I'd like to do at this point is give you a higher level view of what's possible with Kintone and how it works. Because what we focused on today is, I think, the part that's kind of most typically interesting to software engineers, right? Show me how I can display stuff, show me how I can do interesting stuff with data, and I can build and prototype quickly. But actually, the Kintone platform does a lot more than that. And I'd like to leave you with a greater understanding of what's possible with this platform. So there are 3 pillars to the Kintone platform. And you can imagine like a platform where business folks get work done. There's typical business operations stuff that requires workflows. Maybe there's an invoicing workflow that you're passing from one person to another to make sure they get the right approval. You're sharing data. Maybe there's some API that you're hooking into to see like what's the status of your internal company's orders. Maybe like an internal order system, for example. And you want to be able to not just have the data somewhere, but to talk about the data somewhere and have that be in the same place. And then also be able to have like a fully featured way of engineering the crap out of something if the native features aren't sufficient for whatever your requirements are. So for that, you've got access to like you want to be able to like code stuff in JavaScript, or maybe you want to pipe data outside of Kintone by pushing data with webhooks or by piping data into Kintone using the API. So these are kind of the high level pieces. It's that process management, that data sharing, and that integration and customization. So with process management, people are collaborating. You're seeing the right things. The right people are seeing the right things at the right time, right? The vice president is only seeing an invoice if it's above a certain total and it requires like extra approval, right? Otherwise, it's going through a typical workflow. So typically, we use our customers use this for like expense reporting or hiring or sales CRM, legal document. There's a ton of stuff that you'd want to have like a process management setup with. And what's really great is you can make sure that you can basically set up groups and organizational roles so that the right users or groups are seeing the right things at the right time. They're being notified at the right time, and it's easy to configure the app to do that. Again, this is all GUI stuff that you could do really, really quickly to deliver a ton of business value up front. And what's cool about that as a software engineer is that then it allows you to focus on the tougher problems. Another problem that people run into is with sharing data. So you may have run already into an issue where like everybody's got their own Excel spreadsheet and they're emailing it back and forth. Maybe you're having important conversations about the data in Slack, but maybe with somebody else it's over text. Maybe somebody else is giving you voicemails, and so you've got an issue of basically like the data might be fragmented, but not just the data is fragmented, the conversations about the data are fragmented too. And what Kintone does extraordinarily well and that our customers find makes a huge difference is actually by centralizing the data and the conversations about the data in one place. What that allows you to do is have work get done easier. So again, you're focusing on the more important stuff. And you also have the ability to make sure that the right people are seeing the right things and that they're not seeing what they're not supposed to be seeing. So if you need to manage, if you're building some kind of a solution and you need to make sure like, okay, these people are not supposed to see this, or these people are only supposed to see this piece of information at the right time as they go through a workflow, or these other groups of people are only allowed to edit at other particular times. You've got the granularity to do that. And as far as integrating with existing web apps, you've got, so Kintone, I like to say Kintone plays very nice with autos. There are many tools out there that have got open APIs or REST APIs. You can hook in with them. You can have Kintone's REST APIs interact with them. You might want to build those pipelines. You might want to have some kind of like GUI do it on your behalf, like a Zapier. Again, it allows you to build stuff quickly and focus on what you need. It's really up to you. And Kintone can also, if not just receive the data and do stuff with it, but also push the data out using webhooks, which are hooked on, you know, if records are created, updated, deleted, if a status and a workflow is changed. So that allows for some really, really cool ideas. Again, if you're looking to drop a lot of business value very, very quickly, you can hook behavior. Like what I've seen, for example, is like when somebody moves a record into another status, that like, okay, the invoice is ready. There's like a document management system that will automatically like Kintone pushes the data into this document creator. There's a Word document that gets created. That Word document gets automatically attached to an email. That email gets sent to the customer whose email was in the Kintone, you know, was held in the Kintone record. So at a click of a button, you can automate this very, very cool behavior that really, really speeds up people's works and then allows their capacity to increase as well. And then you can also integrate with these third-party tools. They can integrate with Kintone securely with these API tokens, which allow you to choose what kind of access you want to give to other third-party applications into your Kintone. What's also really neat that I think you guys as engineers will really appreciate, and this is something, what you're seeing right now is stuff that Will has done. Will's a genius when it comes to ideas for new projects with Kintone. You've got these views. So what we did is in that area where we did that bubble cloud, we could put anything into that, anything that, you know, requires JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. And so we hook some behavior up into this div, we hook some assets up, and suddenly now we can do whatever we want. We can play Space Invaders. We can do like the Star Wars open and crawl. This is really like, it's a canvas for you to do whatever you want with it, whether you're looking at like business-driven solutions that are going to add value, or just like really cool projects that you want to do to showcase your creativity. And then what you can also do is you can, if you are using Kintone for long enough, maybe you decide, hey, you know what, I've noticed that like there's this need over here that the native features are not filling up. And what you can do is you can build a cool, like these customizations that you can do with JavaScript. You can actually package them up as plugins, which then have their own GUI that faces a non-technical business user, who can then make various kinds of, like you can use this extended feature set to do whatever they want to do with it. So basically, Kintone allows you to wrap your code in a package and add like a single page to, like a single page application to it, basically, where you can then have the user configure based on your extended feature set. You can, by the way, you can create these as your own project. We can also make them available for resale. So if you're looking for neat ideas, or if you come up with your own and you want to, you know, hey guys, like I came up with these ideas, I want to resell these plugins, we're happy to facilitate you doing that. All right, so let's wrap up. Today we introduced you to Kintone. You created your first Kintone app. You created your first data visualization on Kintone using Amtart, which is a separate library that you can use however you'd like. And then we introduced the idea of calling REST APIs from Kintone and doing that so you've got that whole feature pipeline of piping in data and then showing it on Kintone, and then you can do a bunch of stuff with it. Now, why would you want to use Kintone for your projects? You know, there's no need to set up or maintain a server. You can do a lot of this database stuff with the GUI. You've got this canvas where you can build pretty much whatever you want using the database data, and then you can make these calls to other web applications to really tie the whole thing together. You might be wondering at this point, okay, well, that's cool, but I want more projects in my portfolio. I'm not quite sure what to do next. Give you some ideas. I got you. first of all, there are a lot more types of charts that are available on the MCharts website. So you can definitely reuse the code that we use in the workshops. You can try it on different libraries. You can do a lot of different things. There's all sorts of APIs that you can hook into. You can find a list of public APIs that are available over here. Maybe if you want to do your own, coronavirus dashboard, you can certainly do that. And then there's also the option if you want to use Kintone as a backend database and retrieve data via Kintone's REST API. We've got a tutorial that's available where you can hook up Node on Heroku and use that to call Kintone's REST APIs. So the link is over there. You guys should already have the slide deck available to you. You can do this at your own leisure. And then if you want any help, we've got two places for you. The first is the Kintone Developer Community Forum, which is on our Kintone Developer Program, which is on our Kintone Developer Program website. You can get help over there, and then Stack Overflow is also a really great resource. Stack Overflow is always a really great resource. Any questions so far? All right, Sharon, okay, perfect. At this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Christine. Christine, thanks for being with us. Drop some bombs.
Will do. Thanks so much for a great presentation, Nim. Just want to thank everyone for joining tonight. And I also want to give a shout out to our community partners. We did have folks from General Assembly here. I also want to give a shout out to CodeWorks, Ironhack, School 42, and Event Browse for sharing our event and people joining the event from there. Next slide, please. Thank you. And also want to call out that we do have a couple other meetups coming up. This is a virtual meetup series. So on August 13th, we have Build a Color-Coded Map Data Project. August 27th, we have Build a World Cloud Data Project. September 10th, we have Build a Pictorial Stacked Chart Data Project. And our last meetup is on Wednesday, September 30th, Build a Bar Chart Race Data Project. So please join us for the next Kintone